So a high close rate can hide some things, such as, the accessory attach rate. And so here I want to show you how you can measure whether your team is actually diagnosing the home and packaging the right add-ons. And this is going to give you a clear, measurable way to train your reps and track improvement, month over month or, job type and those things. And so what I want to show is this chart here, which is just a simple column chart with a line, overlay, and then the green line here is just a benchmark. And then down here, I'm going to show you 3 sort of common traps to avoid, and then why this is the right answer. Okay, so let's get started. In the data set here, what I want to show is, or what I need to show the metrics is, the first thing is I need a close month. And I'll show you how to calculate that. That's pretty much the only formula we have to calculate. And so the way it works is it's based off of the close. You can do it off of the month you got the lead, but we're going to do it off of the close date. Whichever one you choose, you just need to be consistent. And so it's this column here. So essentially what we need is, if this is blank, we want to return a blank, but if there is a value here, we want to return the month of that date. So like January, and then down here we'll eventually get to February. And this is a very in-depth data set, and if you want it, there's a link to download it. But essentially, I work with several HVAC clients, and so I know what the data looks like, and I help create data sets like this. So if you need some help with that, just let me know. Okay, so what we want to do is equals if, and then go all the way over here and find the close date, column U, but we want to make sure it's the table, inside of the table. So it's not going to say U2, like the cell U2, it's going to say close date. So if this equals blank, then blank, otherwise the text function of this, comma, and then 4 M's, I got to close the bracket. Right, and so now you get the months. And so I just wanted to show you, because I had to do it, to create the charts I showed you at the beginning of the video. But that's how you do it. But I'm going to delete this. Okay, so now we want to create sort of these variables here. So we need the month, and the easiest way to get the month is just type in the word month, and then underneath type in January. And also just keep in mind, this is exactly 1 year of data. So if you have multiple years of data, you would also need to add a year column. So we want, eligible deals, and then we want, the accessory attach rate. I'm just going to copy this, but accessories attached, that percentage, and then a benchmark. Okay, so to figure out eligible deals, what we have is we have this column here, eligible sold deals. So this is just binary, ones and zeros. And so we have this formula here, and it's a little bit complex, but let me walk you through it. So we need to make sure that the stage is closed. Let me just double click in here, and we can just sort of go over and find everything. So let me go to this. So here we want to make sure it was a won deal, not a lost deal, not, a no appointment, any of that. So that's number 1. And we want to make sure the canceled pre-install flag is 0. Let's find that right here. You can't really see it, but it's this column. You can't see the first one, but we want to make sure that they didn't cancel, right, the pre-install. And then we also need to make sure that if the opportunity type, which is over here, if it's repair or to replace, or replacement, or new install, if all of those things are true, then we can say it's eligible for an add-on. And if it's not true, like if you lost the deal, then it's not eligible for an add-on, right? But anyways, you can just see the formula here. If you want to pause the video, you can see the formula, but it'll also be in this download. So just download the file, the link, you can just click on the link, and then that will download the file. Okay, so now what we need to do is we can do a count or a sum, because it's ones and zeros. So if you do a count of the number of times 1 shows up, that's the same as summing it, right? Like the count number of ones, okay, 5. Sum number of ones, 5, right? So it's the same. So we can just do SUMIFS. And so we want to do the sum of this, comma, if this, comma, is B3, right? January. You can't, the way Excel works, like, I guess if I go over a little bit or maybe zoom out like a lot, maybe it'll move out of the way, but not really. And so you just know that it's cell B3. Okay, so now we have that. We have the eligible deals, the number of eligible deals, and then the next thing we need is, was an accessory attached to that deal? And so we have the accessory attached flag here, just a 1 and a 0. And you can add this into your existing software by adding custom fields. Like if you're using Service Titan, super simple to add a custom field. And so the next thing we need to calculate this is we just want to do the same thing. We want to sum the accessory attached if the month is January. And so equals SUMIFS. And we know it's the table. So we know the table name. And then we can just type in accessory attached flag here, and then comma, and then same thing, table, month, close month, because remember we added that column, comma, and then B3. And then now we have this here. And the attach rate, the accessory attach rate is just this divided by this, right? The number of times an accessory was attached divided by the number of possibilities, opportunities to where an accessory could be attached. Now press Control-Shift-5 and it will get you the formula or the percentage. And then say we want a benchmark of, let's just pick something, 40%. And then underneath equals the one above it. And I'll show you why we're doing that. Because we want this to be dynamic. Okay, so now we want to create this chart, and the chart here is going to be the column, is going to be how many deals there were. You could also do it on accessories attached, however you want to do it. And so that's going to be the column, and then we need to create the red line, which is the actual rate, and then a benchmark, which is the green line. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do eligible deals, but you can do accessories attached if you want. Or you can do you can have no columns. It can just be a line chart. So I'm going to highlight these two. I'm going to hold down Control and highlight these two. And then go to Insert, and then Recommended Charts, and then All Charts, and then Combo Chart. And so what you can see here is it looks a little bit weird. And the reason is because the red and the green are on the same axis as the eligible deal count. So you're getting, 0.5 to be on the same axis as 34. So that's why it's just flat on the bottom. And the way to fix that is we need to create a secondary axis for the ones that we want to have a separate axis. So we want rate and benchmark to be on a percentage axis, not on a, the count of deal axis. So you can just double click these. And then now we need to change, because this doesn't make sense either. We need to change the rate or the eligible, or it's the rate column here, column E, but we need to change that to a line. So just click here and then change it to a line. And now you can see it makes a lot more sense. Let's call this maybe accessory attach rate by month. And I'll shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so we got that. The first thing I'm going to do is this this green line is just taking up too much real estate. We just want it to be there to where we can easily see it, but we don't want it to cover things. Like if you add percentages and stuff like that, the data labels, it's going to cover up a lot. So if you double click this, then you'll see this little paint bucket, and then we can do whatever solid line, and then we can change, I don't know, to the color gray. And then right here with the width, we can make it, quite a bit smaller. And then we can also make it like a dash or something if you'd like, different dashes or something like that. Just where you can see it, but it's not, it's not super noisy. And then to add the percentages, like you can click here and then the little crosshair and then data label. And now you can see, and you can format these by going home. You can make it bigger, you can make it bold, if you wanted to make it white, however you want to do it. But yeah, so that's how you do the first part, which is, creating a simple chart. It's not so simple because it's giving you a lot of insight, but it's simple to create once you can figure out these formulas. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is I want to show you sort of what all of this down here is saying. And at the end, this is what we're wanting. And I'm going to show you why doing it this way is not necessarily the correct way to do it. This way specifically here. Okay, so what we need now is we need the rep name, a unique list of the rep name, and then a unique list of the job type. And so to get a unique list, let me just type in the name. Let me do it here, say rep. And then from here, we want a unique list, and then we can go into the data and we can find that that person is in column K. And we have a unique list. I'm going to wrap this with the sort function to sort this large to small, like alphabetically, small to large, I guess. So we got that. So same exact thing, unique, or let's do sort unique. This time I'm just going to type it here because I already know what I'm wanting. I forgot the column name. Let me see. It's going to be system type. And so you can see it's already sorted alphabetically. I'm going to press Control C, Control Shift V to remove the formula because I need to put this across here, right? And I'm not going to drag it that way. I'm going to show you an easier way. So Control C and then right click ST. And now you can see it's across the top. And so we have everything we need here, just like, these. And so now what this is saying, this is the sum of the accessory add-ons for Alex Ramirez and the heat pump. This is the count of the two. So in other words, of all of the deals, Alex Ramirez sold $18,000 worth of accessories for heat pumps, but he did 9 deals, right? And then this is showing the average deal because this is a better way to look at it. And that's why this is what I want to show you. I'm just going to walk you through how I got there. So the first thing, what I'm going to do is let me just do it this way. So equals SUMIFS. We want to sum the accessory revenue based off of heat pump and Alex Ramirez. I don't know why I keep saying Rodriguez. So we want to sum the accessory revenue column where the rep name is Alex Ramirez and the system type is heat pump. And that's why you want to use tables, because it's like you can just type things so much faster. You don't have to look around, and you can get the table name by clicking in your table and going to table design, and then you can rename it whatever you want. But I just have it as table. Okay, so we have that. And then from here, we need to make sure if we drag this over, you're gonna get some mistakes. And the reasoning is because look at the blue behind here. If we move it over one, everything in the formula moves over one, meaning B20 turns to C20, and we don't want that. And then also, table contract value should be accessory revenue. So anywhere you see essentially the column, we want to lock the column, so as we go over, we don't want it to change. So you need to put a $sign before the letter because the letters are the columns in Excel. And then for this one, we want to do the opposite. Essentially, as we go over, we want it to change from heat pump to mini split, but as we go top to bottom, we don't want it to change. And you're still going to have the error if you drag because of tables, but the way around that is to copy and then paste. And so it solves that problem. So on the surface, you're like, okay, Alex Rodriguez is, fourth. He's not performing well, but Alex Ramirez. But the real question is, what is the average amount? And so in here, what I did is I did the count. So this is the number of jobs here, but that's not even, that's good, but it's still not going to tell us the complete picture. So here, what you want is this is just these two divided by each other, which gives you the average, right? And that's what we want. And so I'll show you a super simple way to do that. Average if S, but you're still going to see a problem, right? 232. And so why is that 232? What do you think the reasoning is? And the reason for that is because we are taking the average of accessory revenue. And what we need to do is we need to take the average of the accessory revenue if it's greater than 0. So in other words, the average of these three numbers is 477, but we want to take the average if this is greater than 0, if there is actual revenue, because the zeros are for lost deals, for, maybe people didn't show up, or maybe accessories weren't even attached. And so the way we do that is we just add one more criteria, and it's going to be the same thing here, right? The accessory revenue, so table, accessory revenue, comma, and then from here, we want to do greater than 0. And now this paints a better picture, right? So this tells us what we need to know, because the summing of revenue isn't that useful. I mean, it's good to know, of course, but this is what you really want to know, because what happened is Alex Ramirez went from essentially 4th to 1st, right? So in the bottom, whatever, 20 percentile to the top number 1, right? And so it's that's just it. It's like you need to understand the data. You need to understand, what it's telling you. And there's a really good chance you're not the one creating the data set. So you need to pass this on to your analyst or your team, or, let me know and I can try to help out as well. Okay, so the final thing we're going to do is we want to create a heat map here. And so we're not going to, like, if you do it like this, conditional formatting, so home, conditional formatting, color scales, high is green, low is red. But this isn't the best way to do it, because you're getting these low numbers. Like a split system could be, more expensive than a package unit, right? Or a heat pump could be more expensive than other services that you're providing. And so we want to do it by column. That way you can see who is the highest performer on average for heat pump, and then individually do it again for mini split. So let me just back out of that. So I'm going to do it at the column level. So highlight the column, conditional formatting, color scales, and then green is high and red is low, because that's going to paint a better picture. And then instead of having to do that 3 more times, I'm just going to highlight here, double click the format painter, and then click the top one each time. And then automatically sets that up. So yeah, so that's essentially, how we can track this KPI, some pitfalls to watch out for, but, it's going to show you, who's attaching accessories and who isn't, and also the average, based off of, each your system type. It would also be good to do this here and download this sheet in there. It's just essentially counting the numbers of heat pumps for Alex Ramirez, if an accessory was attached. Because if you have like, say, 1 here, it's like it might not make much sense to consult them yet. Once they get, more jobs sort of under their belt, then you can, start to coach them. And so, but anyways, so that is all I have for this video. If you have any questions about this, email questions@databoards.io. And if you'd like this file, again, link to download. If you have any questions about, how to structure data into a way that's usable, there's a link as well. You can just, it's to my calendar. You can click on it, if you want to hop on a call. But anyways, that's all I have for this video, and I will see you in future videos.